Well, hi guys, I'm back. I'm Chris Langell with AZ Metro News, and we're here tonight with the CEO of Louisiana Metro and Rae Lee Klein, the ASU student who is receiving quite a lot of backlash right now from the school, from peers, and from the United States public at large regarding her last tweet that can be considered insensitive or to me looks like a repercussion of freedom of speech being infringed upon. So there's two sides of the stories. What I do know is right now in America, we're experiencing civil unrest. We're experiencing a time where racism is still running wild in our streets. Just the other day, I was at Walmart and experienced a white male coming up to me, standing next to a black friend, and reminded me that white lives are matter. Do you think he would have said that if my African American friend wasn't standing next to me? This is the culture we're living in right now. It's a problem. It's growing. And if we don't do something to control this in some degree or open communication to understand how our brothers and sisters are feeling across the aisle, we're not going to move forward. We're not going to progress. And we're going to end up with more situations just like this one with Rae Lee and ASU and a tweet that's misunderstood going as far as it did. The social climate of everything going on and what she was really thinking when this post occurred. Hey, Rae Lee, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, Chris?
Good. So one question I want to start with is obviously there's people that are very aggravated with you and they don't want you to talk. They don't want you to be on the radio anymore. They don't want you to possibly be in school anymore. They just want your dreams of a broadcast journalist to be over. That's kind of the educational suicide that I see the school's options for you. Do you feel bad about what you tweeted? Would you do anything different knowing what the world kind of said about it and framed it? Would you act differently? Would you not tweet that? Would you add more context? Where are you at with things?
That's a heavy question. Definitely been asked that a lot. I mean, like you mentioned, the state of our country is one that is very, very hard to navigate. It's very scary, and it's just, quite honestly, it's very hateful. And it's sad to kind of see that that is the point in which we are at, in which those that don't agree with us or align with our values, we want to tend to kind of essentially bully into silence and bully into a corner and not hear from ever again, which is what I'm experiencing. I know where my heart was at when I sent that tweet out. I know what my intent was. And despite all of the things I've been called and all of the accusations that have been made against me, I know that it was not coming from a place of malice, a place of harm. So I would still share that article because I know I was just trying to share the information that we had as a society at that time. I probably would have worded the caption a little bit differently, either by adding more, saying less. I don't know what the answer is, but whatever I did, obviously, wasn't the right way to do it. But that's the beauty of being a student, is that we're learning how to do this, right? I don't have my degree yet. I'm not even a practicing journalist yet, still learning how this world works. And I think even professional journalists are still learning how the world of social media works, especially in such a polarized political climate. So I guess my short answer is I don't really have the best answer at this time because, the angle that I'm coming from is protection in the rights of the First Amendment, which we've talked about. You can fly off the handle and say whatever you want as long as it doesn't impose harm or threat, which I know my tweet didn't do. But then there's also this element of being respectful and as an aspiring journalist, knowing and learning kind of what the balance looks like. So it's a tough question.
No, and I completely understand where you're coming from. I see what the school's trying to do to protect its own business. And again, we've seen this happen in companies. We've seen people get fired for tweets. We've seen people, certain companies support Black Lives Matter movement, and they've had repercussions because of that. We've seen companies not support Black Lives Matter, and we've seen repercussions. So like there's no right answer, and this is a difficult spot for Americans to be. It's a difficult spot for me to be. You know, I love freedoms. I fought for this country. I fought for your right to say whatever you want, whenever you want, and how you want, just like they do on the Morning Mess here in the Valley. Because let me tell you, they say some inappropriate things. They do some inappropriate things, and it's funny. This situation, it's not a funny situation. It's a tragedy in
Absolutely.
multiple victims. There's a man that lost his life. He did not have the freedoms of his day in court. Those were robbed from him. We also have a female that was assaulted. We have another victim. So it's a touchy situation. You mix that in with the current climate we're in, the social climate, and your tweet just happened to be a spark that caught fire, and it technically burned some things down. And right now the school's telling you it's your career. Go do it on your own. Take some diversity classes if you want to stay, or sweep the floors in the basement. I don't think that's a reasonable, it's not a good answer. I don't think that's the solution. We have another guest with us tonight, Sierra. She's the CEO of Louisiana Metro. She's an activist in Louisiana. She's an African-American woman, and she has some insight that's a little bit different from both of our backgrounds. So I'm going to bring her onto the mix. Sierra, how are you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
So let's talk about the social climate with the African-American community, with the Caucasian community. We can all do something. I think most people can agree that they don't know what to do. I don't know how to help you.
People who really genuinely just don't know what to do, you know what I'm saying? But, you know what I'm saying, those people also have to have an open mind. Don't shut down when you hear something that you don't like, because just with me being a Black person, there are so many things that I don't like that I have to deal with, like all the way down to the roots of this country, to how in the Constitution, I'm still labeled as 3/5 of a human being when I went to war for this country. You know what I'm saying? There's so many things that comes into play with just being an African American in this country, to like where, and we are at a point now to where we're tired, we're upset, because it's been like this since the birth of this country. You know what I'm saying? So and it's called civil unrest. And when we were talking about civil unrest in my community, like what you did, you know what I'm saying? Even though you say your intentions could be good or just whatever, you had no ill intentions. To me, it just looks like it's the tactic to add fuel to the fire. You know what I'm saying? And then just in the Black community, it always seems like we are the ones, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, matter of fact, let me reword that. In the Black community, we just always have been on the other side of the, I just say, screw it, just oppression or whatever. Like, we've been dealing with KKK. We've been dealing with, you know what I'm saying, even but after slavery, you know, so you still had horror and terrors to live through from generations and generations to come. And we're at a point now, and especially like in this generation, like we're not having it. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to have a lot of people who are going to get upset, and they're going to challenge you, and they're going to come after you, because we're not a submissive crowd of people. We're just not like that anymore. So we're going to be in your face. We're going to ask you hard questions. Because like he said, we want to see where your heart at. You know what I'm saying? And so, and then like I said, and it's hard. It's hard because even too, with being Black, sometimes my Black people do make it hard for me to defend them. But I'm still gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do my thing for my people. Because like if you really look at this situation, his girlfriend made it really hard for me to defend, you know what I'm saying, what's going on, because she got him out here looking like a bad rapist, but really and truthfully, they just got a crazy situation going on. You know,
we did have a question come up which is, what about the victim of the rape? Why is no one supporting her? And I think you just answered that. You know, there is more to the story. Not to make a pun on a tweet, but there's more to the story.
And then what's so crazy with the girlfriend herself, you know what got me? And it's like, even after this video, Chris, I think I might do a separate video to kind of dissect some things for the Black community as a whole. You know what I'm saying? Because it was some things she did that she shouldn't have done. Like for instance, the day that he was there for a family dispute, not dealing, he wasn't there for her. And then you got to think about it. Why would he come to try to rape her with all his sons in the car, with all his kids in the car? You got to think about things. You got to think about the surroundings of things that's going on at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like that don't even make no sense. You know what I'm saying? But if you there for a family dispute and you messed around in the midst of this, while they were on the phone, she called and was like, he wasn't supposed to be here. That was from the incident back in May. But you put him in a more hostile environment. You know what I'm saying? Even they weren't there because of him attacking you. They were there for him for a family dispute. And since you brought that up, you put him in a more hostile environment. And then what was so crazy about it, you're saying that he was shot for no reason. Like that, it just don't match up. You know what I'm saying? Like you put him in this position to have these police officers ready, and you know what I'm saying? Like we finna go because they looked him up and he was wanted or whatever. This thing came up. They were ready. They already had the attitude when they got there. Now if they just came there thinking that they were coming for a family dispute, they probably would have came a little more calmer. You know what I'm saying? Not coming looking for a wanted person.
Right, and you know, Sarah, I think Rae Lee also commented that she doesn't agree that the shooting that took place was justified. She doesn't agree with that. You know, she stated that in the other interview that it is a wrongful shooting. You know,
yeah.
and
this is
and
a
again,
messy situation.
It is all around.
It's very hard to understand. And I think, I want to make it clear that my job as a journalist and a 21-year-old who's coming into a very, very complicated world is not to, outline everything that happened in my opinion on every single issue. My stance at this point is being able to do, what Turner said, and that's to have discussions with people and to have those discussions without fear of consequence. She mentioned that the African American community is going to be, in my face and wanting answers, and I welcome that. Let's talk. Let's discuss these issues. I'm more than willing to have those conversations with people and have had some, good forward-moving conversations that have benefited both parties, I think. But the problem is when we start disrespecting each other on that issue and we start trying to bully each other and say, just because you don't agree with me, you can't have your job, or just because you don't agree with me.
Fix that way.
Right.
No, and that's, one of the things that I want to address here is like, if this was 15 years ago and there was social media and this happened, it probably wouldn't be in the news. It wouldn't be a headline. No. You would just have gone to school the next day and it wouldn't be an issue. The facts is that according to the numbers, African Americans are persecuted in larger numbers than the total number of all Caucasians. Okay, there's more blacks dying by the hands of cops than there are white people when you look at the whole entire population size of those demographics. That's an issue. I can't deny it.
And with that, and I feel like honestly, like with what you did, I feel like we don't need things like that, you know what I'm saying, already when we're dealing with the police brutality already. So now you want to try to find something in my background and make it to just try to give somebody some comfort. You trying to give somebody some comfort. If it wasn't you, it was the audience. You know what I'm saying?
I wasn't trying to give anybody comfort. I was trying to share with my audience the facts of a situation. I'm not here to tell people how they should feel, and I very much operate from the stance of a journalist that the facts unfortunately outweigh the feelings, and just because it offends or hurts somebody's feelings does not mean that my rights are minimized or that it makes it any less true of a story. And I've always operated from that position, and I'm not going to be undermined by the school, by peers, by anybody trying to silence me because I shared at that time what was a fact of the story.
But even still, if you're going to share the facts, I think you still need to make it fair and share all of the facts. Don't share the facts that you like.
How would that have looked? So if I were to go back and rewrite the tweet from your perspective, how would I have worded it that would have made it fair in addressing both sides?
I don't know. I really want to ask you that, I wouldn't have put it out there because, and then you don't see nobody, and when somebody white gets shot or whatever goes down, we're not up here digging nothing behind y'all to try to be like, okay, well, back in he raped somebody, or we're not doing that. So I don't even feel like you should ask me that question because I don't.
Well, and let's dive into that. To be 100% honest, if this was a white perp and he got shot by a cop right now, there would be no post. There would be no story. There would be
no post.
It's not.
There would be a post on it, but ain't nobody. My thing is this: nobody is going into the white man's history and pulling up his background records. It has become a trend that y'all have been doing this to all of the victims who have been getting shot by the police. That has become a trend now. So that's what I'm saying. It ain't even a conversation.
Turner,
with
you
me.
know what I want to ask is where's the line though? And that's where I think we're trying to find. Where's the line of sharing this is inappropriate and insensitive and doesn't do anything to further progress the actual truth and facts of the story, or this is a fact of the story. This is part of it. You know,
It's part of a fact. That's what it is. It's part of a fact. You know what I'm saying? Because the fact of the story was he was there to break up a family incident. That's the fact. But he had a warrant from months ago. That's not the arrest warrant of why he was getting arrested that day. So that's important. When you're trying to tell people that he got arrested, yes, he got arrested that day, and this is why, because you're putting it like that is the why he got arrested that day, when that is not the case. So that's how it gets messy, it gets misconstrued, and maybe there are people who probably did more homework than you did before you put that tweet out. You know what I'm saying? To be like, wait, well, did she check this out? Did she check this out? You don't know where everybody was at the time you put that tweet out and how much information they had. You know
right,
what I'm saying?
and I don't think journalism as a whole knew where that situation was at. It was developing day to day, and obviously new information has arisen since then. And that's our job as a journalist, is to continue to follow up with these stories as they progress and change. And I've never gotten the chance to do that because of the backlash I received on the first incident. And just this, I want to bring something up. Let's talk about this idea of cancel culture. What are your guys' thoughts about that and the whole ideology of canceling people because of something that they tweet, that they share? I mean, it's a big term that's thrown around for our generation.
Well, and I think cancel culture in general, we can say, has been experienced by both sides of this fence. Look at the African American community. I want to bring up Black Wall Street because I just think a lot of people just don't know about it. I'm 32 years old, and I just found this out maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, and it blew my mind. Cancel culture. Black Wall Street, it got canceled. Something was going good and it got ripped away. We've got shows on TV like Cops that are no longer allowed to be played. It's too violent. It's too associating with the times right now and the climate of the the world. So we're going to cancel the show Cops because we don't want to offend people.
And trying to compare that to Black Wall Street,
I'm not comparing the two. I'm simply saying things are getting canceled because people's feelings are hurt.
But cancel culture, like, that's not the same thing. Like, cancel culture, like, like for instance, in the Black community, Nick Cannon had to deal with the cancel culture. So from what he said, when he was, I think, on his own show, when he made those remarks, and who was it? Was it whatever network that he worked for? They fired him, took away Wild 'N Out and all that or whatever. So, and from what he said, he had Black support. But the minute that he went back and I guess maybe apologized to the company or whatever, Black people canceled him. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, now in this day, I don't feel like enough people be getting enough information to call themselves want to cancel somebody. It's just literally, it's just too off of, it's more off of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So
where are we at in this? Is it right or wrong that she got canceled? Because that's what I'm trying to figure out. I think that
from my understanding, what I've read, they weren't trying to cancel you or censor you. So
that's exactly what they did, though. They told her she's not allowed to be on the radio anymore. You're not allowed to. You tweeted something, and we didn't like it, so you got to go.
So you could have still been on the radio if they gave you your own station. Okay, with this other option that was staying on the board and required to take a diversity class. What can you explain to me what exactly would that have been?
I think that role has just been it's very, very gray area, because it was described to me one way and it's been described to the board of directors very, very differently. What it does include is including diversity curriculum within our station and also talking about First Amendment rights. I also want to point out that at the end of my first year as station manager, I had written a letter to the deans of the school at that time, Dean Lodato and Dean Callahan, asking that we get an 8th board member whose sole purpose was to focus on diversity within our station, within the Cronkite school, because I recognized back in April that was an issue that we were facing and needed to address as the current climate progresses more and more difficultly. And it was denied. They did not grant us that 8th position. And now 6 months later, they're saying, oh yeah, we'll give you that. We'll make you that person. And I'm sitting here saying, I asked for this in April, and now you want to make me this person because I tweeted something that doesn't make everybody happy? I don't think so. So that's why I'm not going into that position. I'm not going to start my own station because they're trying to separate me from the entity that I have ran for the past 2 years simply because they don't like what I had to say and can't provide me any real law or rule that I violated that says that I'm unfit to hold that role, other than they didn't like it.
See, and I think that's one of the most important part. Show me a policy in ASU's student handbook or the journalism school handbook that you violated, which would cause, because these things are written out. Policy and procedures written out.
That is important too, because it's like, honestly, and that's why I kind of see. That's why I was like, because I'm a little rebel too, and I'm more like, you got to show me the rules, you got to show me the policies, you got to show me black and white. You know what I'm saying? Because other than that,
exactly,
I'm gonna do what I do. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it becomes so messy on, especially when it comes to like me asking like how I feel about what the school should have done, because it's just like, I don't know the climate there, I don't know the culture there, you know what I'm saying, how they do things or whatever. But it's like, if you ain't showing me no rule or no policy that I've broken, then I can see why you stand in your ground. You know what I'm saying? Right. So that is understandable. You know, but like I said, when it comes down to it, I probably ain't listening to your radio station. So,
right, and that's fair. That's exactly
I got the freedom to do that.
That's your right.
Exactly.
You're
that's
right.
your right to choose to listen or not.
That's the thing that I think is most important. I think the lessons that we can learn from this today is, like Rae Lee's tweet, there's always more to the story. And I hate to pun on it, but there is. You see what I did there? I don't want to get in trouble because I own my own company and I can say what I want. But there's always more to the story. You know, Turner, thank you for being here tonight. I think you brought a great perspective.
Conversation.
You know, we're gonna wrap up here. You know, I think this was a good conversation to have. What's one more question?
Rae Lee, did you learn something?
Oh, absolutely. I'm still learning to this day. So.
Yeah, that's all I want. I want this to be a more of a learning experience than anything. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, I enjoy talking to you.
It is a learning experience. It's a learning experience first for all. You know, but Turner, thank you for being here tonight. You know, you'll see more from Louisiana Metro. If you follow Louisiana Metro or you're in Louisiana, go ahead and follow their page and stay up to date with the local news run by the people. We're a veteran-owned company, and we'd appreciate your support. So, Turner, thank you for being here tonight. I hope you have a great evening.
All right.
So, Rae Lee, you know, this is the last couple minutes that we have here. What do you want to happen with the school? What do you wish the school would do? Like, if in the best case scenario, what do you see would be fair right now?
Right. I mean, look, I got into journalism because I grew up seeing the terms thrown around, fake news, that the media is the enemy of the people, that our bias and our ways of operating are so inherently corrupt that it's wrong. And, you know, me being the little fighter that I am, was like, all right, then let's go in and fix it. Let's make it not such a big deal, and let's get these thoughts and opinions cleared up. And so I got into it, and I've always operated from the point that the people have a right to know the truth. They have a right to have all the information and then be able to form opinions, thoughts, beliefs of their own, separate from any agenda that a media outlet may or may not be pushing. And I stand by that belief to this day, that institutions like a university are supposed to be, quote unquote, a school of thought. They're supposed to let free thought and free speech reign above all else in their institution. And as an agent of the state, they're obligated to do that. And so when a journalism student, and I say a, because it isn't just me, I've had calls and, you know, talked to people not only in my school, but across the country who went through something similar, that because their belief or their thought, opinion, whatever it may have been, didn't align or didn't make a higher group of people happy or hurt their feelings, they were removed or canceled or whatever you want to call it. You know, they were told they couldn't walk at graduation or they couldn't do anything and had to face some type of punishment for simply sharing and expressing their First Amendment rights. And so that's where I'm coming from, is the operation that we can be a huge group of people that has 350 members and 350 different perspectives from different walks of life. And just because I don't agree with somebody or don't align with their beliefs does not mean that I'm unfit to lead them. It does not mean that they're unfit to lead me. We come from different places of the world with different stories, and that's what makes America the greatest country in the world, is because it is a melting pot of so many different backgrounds, and trying to silence or cancel or bully any one of those perspectives into the background is wrong to me on every single level. And that's what I would love to see the university do, is recognize that if we're going to pursue diversity, we have to stop silencing people because they don't agree with us. And so that's why I'm staying in this fight. That's why I'm pushing for those First Amendment rights, and will continue to do so.
No, I think that's beautifully stated. And as a veteran that's fought for this country and those constitutional rights, I can't agree with you more.
Thank you.
So much so, and this really aggravated me. The fact that ASU wanted to take your voice away, and that was the response. And regardless of whether it's an insensitive tweet, you've learned something from this. I think moving forward in your professional career, your career, you might make a different choice in how you post things. I think you're still going to post the truth because I see that in you. But right. I think that this experience may have forged maybe a different maturity when looking at the social climate.
Right.
As far as our company goes, because of what ASU is putting you through, because of all the crap that these freedom destroyers want to, embark on in this world, we want to do what we can for you as a student and a journalist, a journalist to be. We want to offer you your own show. You're the name on it, on video. We'll produce it. You come on whenever you want. You tell the stories you want. You speak exactly how you want. And the only one that's going to kick it off is probably Facebook or YouTube if you say something super bad, because they still censor everyone. But on azmetronews.com, we won't censor you. You can write your articles just like they do on Fox, on ABC. It's set up that way. We'll give you back-end access. And if you want to start producing your own show on our network, we will have the people to help you do that. So that way you're not having a school stand in the way of a potential career and, your voice being infringed upon with your rights being taken away. So that's what we want to offer you tonight. Follow us with that and more details as the weeks go on, and we can put that into production, into plan. But I think the world needs to see more truth and more facts, and we're a station that's putting the preamble, we the people, back in the media. So we want you to be a part of that.
Thank you. I appreciate that opportunity.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here tonight, Rae Lee. And we hope, things ease up on you a little bit. Hopefully you have a little bit of rest and maybe not so many attacks, that people can come and watch this and see where your heart was and what your intention was. And that, this is about reporting the facts. This is about the truth. We also have an obligation as journalists to be, culturally appropriate and sensitive to the things that are going on in the environment. So again, thank you for being on, and you're always welcome on our station here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, guys, that's all we have for tonight. I hope you got all the information you need for the current situation on freedom of speech being infringed upon at ASU, Blaze Radio thinking that feelings matter over facts. For me, I want the truth served cold, not cooked, not warmed up, not left over. I want all of it right now as it lies, so I can make the best informed decision as an American when these situations come up. Again, this situation, a tragedy, multiple sides. We have a victim of assault. We have a person that was shot in the back by a cop. Again, this is happening again and again. It's not something new. This is a problem. We can do better. We can fix these things, but we have to come together. We have to form a communication channel between Caucasians, African Americans, Mexicans, every culture, every ethnicity. If we want to move forward as a society and not have these little speed bumps cause so many problems and hurt feelings. Because at the end of the day, guys, I really don't care about how you feel about anything. And it's not just the color of your skin. I'm that way with everyone. I want the truth and the facts, and that's what we're going to do here on AZ Metro, Louisiana Metro, and Minnesota Metro. So again, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. go ahead and share this video. If you have questions for Rae Lee, shoot them down here in the comments. We'll be passing those off to her in her email, or she'll just jump on and answer them herself. And hopefully we can look forward to having her on her own show, just like ASU said. We'll give it to her so she can accomplish her journalism goals and her career goals. So again, thank you guys tonight for joining in. Be blessed, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.